Imagine a woman looking at you, trying to read what you feel, trying to find an emotional signal she can understand, and all she finds is calm. Not emptiness, not coldness, just calm. That calm unsettles her. It draws her in. Because she can't decode you, she can't place you into a category, and it's exactly in that uncertainty that attraction quietly begins to grow. This is something Machiavelli understood deeply, long before modern psychology gave it names and theories. People fear what they cannot predict, yet they are irresistibly drawn to what they cannot fully possess. The modern man, however, has lost this edge. He explains too much, he reveals too much, he chases too hard, he floods every silence with reassurance and every moment with emotion. In doing so, he removes all mystery, all tension, all gravity from his presence. A Machiavellian man moves differently. He mirrors emotion with intention. He offers warmth when it strengthens his frame. He offers silence when it protects his center. This is not manipulation. It is awareness sharpened into discipline. When you understand perception, you understand attraction, and when you master attraction, she does not consciously decide to fall for you. It happens beneath logic, beneath choice, beneath resistance. She simply finds herself unable to pull away. This is the Machiavellian law of perception. Niccolo Machiavelli never wrote about dating or romance. He wrote about power, how it is gained, how it is maintained, how it is lost. He wrote about leadership, influence, and the subtle forces that shape how others see you. What most people fail to realize is that the same laws that govern kingdoms also govern relationships. The scale changes, but the mechanics remain the same. All power begins with perception. When you control how others perceive you, you influence how they feel. And when you influence how they feel, you quietly shape how they behave. This is the hidden rule few are willing to acknowledge. Control perception and emotion follows. Control emotion and action comes naturally. In attraction, this truth reveals itself in a simple but uncomfortable reality. The man who reacts less rules more. Let that settle. The man who remains calm while others lose control immediately stands apart. He does not chase approval. He does not beg for attention. He does not panic when things do not go his way. And in a world saturated with emotional noise, that calm becomes rare. Rarity creates value. Calmness is not weakness. It is a signal of strength. It is a silent message that says, I am in command of myself. And people, especially women, feel this before they ever understand it. Every woman, whether she is conscious of it or not, searches for leadership in a man. Not dominance over her, but mastery over himself. Because deep down, she knows a man who cannot lead his own thoughts, who cannot regulate his emotions, who cannot remain grounded under pressure, will eventually lose direction and take her down with him. So she watches, she observes, she feels. She looks for emotional stability, for composure in chaos, for steadiness when things become uncertain. That steadiness creates an aura of trust, safety, and quiet power. It is not about being cold or detached, it is about being anchored. When a man has that kind of internal composure, people sense it instantly. It lives in his tone, his posture, his pace, and even in his silence. He does not need to announce his value. His presence communicates it for him. And that presence, still, controlled, unhurried, is magnetic. It pulls people inward. When she looks at you and sees calm instead of chaos, certainty instead of insecurity, groundedness instead of neediness, something ancient stirs inside her. It is a strange and powerful combination, safety wrapped in danger. Safety because your calm feels stable and protective. Danger because your mystery feels unpredictable and alive. That contrast is what creates genuine attraction. Most men offer only one side. They are either too safe and forgettable or too intense and unstable. But the rare man who can be both composed and powerful, centered yet commanding, becomes unforgettable. This is the essence of the Machiavellian law of perception. It is not about pretending, it is not about acting. It is about mastering yourself so completely that others cannot help but feel your gravity. You do not chase, you do not convince, you do not perform. You embody stillness. And people, especially women, are drawn to it instinctively because calm is not passivity. It is mastery. and mastery is the rarest form of power. Now consider the power of strategic emotion. Psychology has a concept known as intermittent reinforcement. Studies from institutions like Stanford and Harvard have shown that when rewards arrive unpredictably, they create far stronger emotional bonds than when they arrive on a fixed, reliable schedule. The mind stays alert. Anticipation builds, attention sharpens, uncertainty creates tension, tension sustains desire. Machiavelli understood this long before laboratories confirmed it. He knew that predictability kills reverence, while mystery keeps attention alive. Yet today, many men do the exact opposite. They give everything away immediately: attention, validation, availability, emotional access. They remove all tension from the interaction. They flatten the story before it has a chance to unfold. But tension is not cruelty. It is the heartbeat of attraction. A Machiavellian man does not play childish games. He plays rhythm. He understands the ebb and flow of human emotion. He knows when to lean in and when to step back, when to speak and when silence will speak louder, when warmth will strengthen connection and when restraint will deepen it. Every action has intention. Every pause has meaning. This is not manipulation. It is balance. It is polarity, the natural tension between two forces. Without polarity, there is no spark, no pull, no energy. When a man shows that his emotions are not governed by others, that he does not depend on constant approval to feel whole, something shifts in how he is perceived. His attention begins to feel rare, valuable, even sacred. And when something becomes sacred, people protect it. They pursue it. They treat it with care. This does not mean becoming cold or distant for the sake of appearance. It means understanding emotional timing. Warmth loses its power when it is always available. When emotion is expressed with awareness and restraint, it gains weight. Presence develops gravity. The goal is not to suppress emotion, but to guide it, to express it in a way that sustains curiosity rather than extinguishing it. Curiosity is the root of attraction. When someone cannot fully predict you, they must keep watching. Listening, wondering. That wonder evolves into connection, and connection deepens into desire. Learn to hold your emotional energy the way a skilled musician holds sound, not all at once, but in rhythm. Let silence carry meaning. Let distance create depth. Let emotion breathe instead of spilling uncontrollably. When your emotional center becomes self-directed, others feel it immediately. They sense that your world does not orbit their approval. And in that quiet independence, they find something magnetic. Strategic emotion is not about being cold. It is about being in control of your warmth. It is understanding that your feelings have value, and value should not be given away without intention. When you master this balance, your presence stops asking to be noticed. It begins to command attention naturally, and that is the true power of strategic emotion. Now consider the man she drops everything for. He is not the loudest in the room. He does not try to prove himself. He does not chase, beg, or perform. He moves with quiet confidence, like a storm forming slowly, unnoticed until it has already changed the atmosphere. His danger is not cruelty, it is independence. He is a man who does not need anything to feel complete. And she senses this deeply, even if she cannot articulate it. There is something profoundly attractive about a man who could love her fully, yet remain whole without her. That balance, deep capacity for connection combined with emotional freedom, creates gravity. She does not move toward him because he pressures her. She moves because she feels pulled. He leads without force, through calm, through steadiness, through presence. His energy tells her that he lives for something larger than comfort or validation. He is guided by purpose, not impulse. He knows what he wants, and he is not afraid to walk away from what does not align with his path. That kind of man is rare. Most people try to fill their emptiness with attention. He fills his life with discipline and direction. He does not mistake peace for passivity. His calm does not mean numbness. It means mastery. Around him, she feels safe, but not bored. Grounded, but awake. His silence carries more weight than other men's words. His eyes do not seek approval. They observe. His touch does not cling. It connects. He offers warmth without losing his center, and that is the secret. He does not ask to become the center of her world. He becomes it naturally because his energy is steady, contained, and strong. Her chaos softens around him. Her mind quiets. Her emotions find rhythm. This is not magic. It is alignment. When a man is rooted in purpose, anchored in peace, and focused in presence, he does not need to pursue. He attracts, not through force, but through frequency. He becomes the calm she did not know she was searching for. The mystery she cannot solve. The man who could love deeply yet still stand tall if she walked away. And that contrast, strength wrapped in softness, is what makes her drop everything. Not his words, not his appearance, but his energy. The quiet storm that never needs to shout to be felt. That is the man she drops everything for. Now we arrive at the Machiavellian secret few understand. Distance as desire. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." In the modern world, this idea has evolved. Today, it is not fear that creates attraction. It is respect. And respect is born from boundaries, restraint, and the ability to stand apart without apology. A man's distance is often misunderstood. Many assume it means coldness, ego, or emotional unavailability. In reality, distance is a mirror. It quietly reveals who truly values his presence. It separates those who seek comfort from those who seek connection. Distance does not destroy attraction, it tests it. When a woman feels the absence of a man who carries weight, something stirs inside her. She does not instantly lose interest. Instead, curiosity awakens. She begins to wonder where his attention has gone, what he is doing, what he is thinking, why his presence, once familiar, now feels suddenly missed. That curiosity is powerful. It is emotional fuel. The invisible thread that keeps desire alive long after conversation ends. The human heart does not crave what it fully understands. It craves what it cannot quite grasp. That is the power of distance, not silence as punishment, but space that invites imagination. A Machiavellian man understands this instinctively. He does not overshare. He does not explain every emotion or justify every move. He knows that excessive explanation kills mystery. And mystery is the oxygen of attraction. Instead, he leaves space. Soft edges, unanswered questions, because the mind cannot tolerate emptiness. It rushes to fill the gaps, and when it fills them with fantasy, emotion grows deeper than logic ever could. Fantasy is the most powerful form of desire. It allows someone to fall not only for who you are, but for who they believe you might become. That belief, that imagined future, is what sustains attraction when words fade and moments pass. This is not game playing, it is self-respect expressed through restraint. When a man holds distance with calm confidence, he does not push people away. He invites them closer, on their own terms. And when they step forward, it is no longer out of need, but out of desire. That is the Machiavellian secret. Not fear, not dominance, not control, but distance used with intention. Because within that distance, curiosity grows. Within curiosity, emotion awakens. And within that awakening, attraction transforms into something deeper. Respect, fascination, devotion. A man who understands this does not chase attention. He becomes the center of it, not through noise, but through presence withheld with power. This is how distance becomes desire. Now consider the stoic edge. True power begins with emotional sovereignty, the ability to remain whole regardless of external events. Your peace cannot be purchased with attention. Your worth cannot be negotiated through approval. You remain grounded even when emotions pull at you from every direction. This is where Stoicism and Machiavellian awareness intersect. One provides calm, the other provides strategy. Together, they form a man who is empathetic yet unshakable, warm yet disciplined, centered yet sharp. You show kindness without losing your center. You give attention without becoming dependent on response. You care without collapsing. That is emotional mastery. Most men confuse sensitivity with weakness and control with coldness. The stoic edge is neither. It is the middle path where emotion and reason coexist. You feel deeply, but you are ruled by nothing that does not serve your purpose. This is what separates the man who chases from the man who chooses. The man who chases seeks validation. The man who chooses already has peace. Women, deeply intuitive and emotionally perceptive, sense this distinction instantly. They feel the difference between a man who needs attention to feel alive and a man who is already alive on his own. The first excites, the second anchors. The first is noise, the second is gravity. He does not demand to be followed. He stands so firmly in his own center that everything naturally aligns around him. Every woman has encountered men who wanted her. Few have met a man who could walk away from her calmly without resentment or regret. That man leaves an imprint, not because he played games, but because his calm could not be faked. He was not driven by ego, but guided by self-respect. His energy said, "I care, but I am complete." That sentence alone holds more power than 1,000 emotional confessions. This is the stoic edge, heart guided by discipline, emotion balanced by reason, love tempered with self-control. It is the difference between reacting and responding, between chasing pleasure and choosing purpose. When a man masters this edge, everything changes. He stops begging for connection and begins attracting it naturally. Because people, especially women, are drawn to peace wrapped in power, to warmth that does not consume, to strength that does not shout. That is the man she remembers. That is the man she drops everything for. Now let's speak honestly about the so-called dirty strategy. What Machiavelli taught was never meant to sound romantic. It was meant to be effective. He believed awareness is a weapon and ignorance is a cage. Most people live trapped by emotions they do not understand, their own and everyone else's. They call it passion, but often it is confusion in motion. The dirty strategy is not manipulation. It is not cruelty. It is awareness applied with discipline. When you study human behavior, patterns reveal themselves. The hunger for validation, the fear of rejection, the pull of curiosity, the trap of insecurity, the craving for certainty. These invisible forces drive decisions more than logic ever will. People chase what retreats. They ignore what stays. They doubt what is honest. They desire what feels distant. Most men are ruled by these forces. They react instead of observing. They give without understanding. They mistake emotional movement for progress. The Machiavellian man pauses. He watches. He learns. He understands cause and effect. He notices that uncertainty makes people seek reassurance. Being seen makes them open up. Absence makes them chase. He does not recklessly pull these strings. He simply knows they exist. And because he knows, he is no longer controlled by them. That is what awareness weaponized truly means. Not deception, but clarity. Not coldness, but freedom. Understanding liberates you from emotional slavery. You stop being the puppet and become the observer. And from that stillness, presence turns into power. You no longer need to over-explain. You no longer need to prove. You no longer need to chase. You move deliberately. While others drown in reaction, you operate with precision. You do not beg for approval, you read it. You do not ask for attention, you command it through composure. This is the dirty strategy, emotional intelligence guided by discipline. Once you understand how emotion works, once you see the architecture beneath desire, you cannot be manipulated again. You stop playing the game blindly. You start seeing it clearly. And seeing clearly is the first step to mastery. Power does not come from chasing. It comes from embodying. You do not dominate through force. You dominate through focus. You do not attract by demanding attention. You attract by becoming the kind of man who does not need it. When a man's mission outweighs his hunger for validation, his silence speaks louder than noise. His calm carries weight. His stillness becomes magnetic. He does not argue for respect. He lives in a way that earns it. This is the quiet power Machiavelli understood, leading through composure, moving through mystery, conquering through understanding. True strength is silent. Stillness is not inaction. It is control. It is knowing when to move and when to wait. Letting others react while you observe, because the one who reacts least often holds the most power. A man who masters stillness becomes unreadable, not because he hides, but because he no longer gives his emotions away cheaply. He listens more than he speaks. He studies before he moves. He acts only when timing aligns. This is not passivity, it is precision. People feel this presence immediately. They cannot explain it, but they sense it. It shows in how he walks, how he looks, how he allows silence to exist without discomfort. His confidence does not come from superiority. It comes from independence. He needs nothing from others, and that is what makes him unforgettable. Not his words, but his energy. Not his charm, but his center. He does not fight for attention. He becomes the calm in chaos, and that calm becomes his greatest influence. Once you master stillness, you no longer chase power. You become it. Not dominance over others, but mastery over yourself. That is the ultimate control. That is the power in stillness.